Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the 26th SF Indie Fest. The festival will be running February 8th through 18th at the Historic Roxy Theater, as well as at home on your digital computer screens. Thank you so much for joining us for the Genre Shorts program. We're joined here by a group of really amazing filmmakers that have made so many beautiful, world-building, exciting films. So I'd love to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and I'll just start by going around the Zoom room. We'll kick it off with Sasha. Hi, Sasha.
Hi everyone. I'm Sasha Dularein. I'm the writer-director of Conflict, and I'm very honored to be included in this year's SF Indie Fest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasha. Hi, Eric.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Eric Wang Schwager, and I'm the director and co-writer of Carcass, and I hope you all enjoyed all of our movies.
Thank you so much. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I wrote and directed Another Sinking Sun, and I also hope that you all enjoyed all of our movies, and I'm honored to be here.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Hi, Sylvie.
Hi everyone, my name is Sylvie Zeidman. I'm the writer, director, and producer of the movie called Truth, and I'm very happy to join you from Belgium. So voila.
Thank you so much. So happy to have you. Hi, Duda. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Duda Gorter. I'm the writer and director of Umidade, Moisture in English, and I'm very honored to be at San Francisco Indie Film Festival, and let's enjoy as much as we can.
Thank you so much. And hi, Mihal. Welcome.
Hey everyone, I'm Mihal Zabete. I'm the writer-director of New Eden, and excited you guys are here.
Lovely. We're so excited to have you all here. I will say with this program, I was struck by how beautifully everyone was able to render their worlds. Often when you think about films that aren't kind of grounded in our time, this world building is something that we tend to see in kind of large budget projects. But the work that you all did just does so much in making us feel out of sorts with the way that the worlds have been built and created. So it's really, really fabulous. I would love to just hear from all of you about how the genesis of your film came together. How did you find this story? How did you kind of bring it together and make it into the reality that is now coming to everybody's screens? And I'm going to go in reverse order from how we just introduced ourselves, and we'll kick it off with Mihal. Can you speak about how your film came together?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually at this thing called Summit at Sea, which is sort of half party, half think tank. And I heard this guy speak named Tristan Harris, who's the ethical compass of Silicon Valley, they've called him. And he was talking about the AI dilemma. You might know him as the main voice behind the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. And he's talking about if we do nothing, there's a 10% chance that AI will destroy us. And that piece inspired me to make this film. And it was designed to be sort of a cautionary tale of what happens if we do nothing, and also for that story to be told in a thrilling and entertaining way in a short amount of time.
Yes, that really struck me, especially I think I was watching this not too long after the strikes kind of wrapped up here in Hollywood. And I couldn't help but think about how we're at this watershed moment in so many industries of how we need to think about the dangers of AI, not just what they mean for us that want to tell stories, but for us as humanity in general. So thank you so much. Hi, Duda.
Hi. Well, I conceived Umidade, Moisture, in a state of pure anger and nonconformity, because Brazil was plunged into the chaos of an extreme right-wing government. So here in Brazil, it was completely chaos. We're talking about from 2000, more or less from 2014 up to the year before the last one, up to 2022. It was completely chaos, and there wasn't a hope whatsoever. Brazil was in a huge stinking mud, if you will. So it wasn't a beautiful state of mind, but that's how it goes. And Umidade Monster, I delivered it. That's it.
Well, from A Scary Place, you did make some beautiful art. I was particularly just struck by the way that you filmed it. I think that one of the really special things about telling stories that aren't rooted in our time is that we can kind of use the separation to take a step back and look at where we're really at. And I think that you really achieved that with yours. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi, Sylvie. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Hello. Yeah,
Technology.
I thought I had, sorry. Okay, in 2019, just before the pandemic, I was living in London. I was actually taking filmmaking classes, and when I was going to my classes in the morning, there were lots of building sites, and one morning I just passed through one, and there were 4 guys waiting to start their working day, and they were all seated at the distance of each other. What struck me was that the distance at which they were holding their phone was identical. And suddenly I had the impression I saw robots. This image was so striking, and I started thinking, well, you know, what would happen if our phone would take over so much, and if really you know, I started thinking this technology that's around us, what if it would be taken to extremes? And this is I started writing about this future world. Basically, then the pandemic hit, and I saw how dependent we were on the phone, and actually how we could live perfectly with just a phone to order everything, to speak to people, and even without talking. Hence the no dialogue in my movie. And what's also important to know is that the movie was shot on 3D LED screen, which was a great idea of my co-director Nick Shake, who's not here tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, this was like, okay, perfect. It's futuristic. I mean, which may seem strange, because obviously, like Michal's movie, we also wanted to be a cautionary tale. But you know, sometimes technology can have a positive effect, and it was great filming with such technology. But you know, let's not go to extremes like the movie portrayed.
Beautifully said. Thank you. I mean, I think the thing that we do need to keep in mind, right? Technology is just a tool. It's the forces of capitalism and ill intent that turn it into something ugly and dangerous. And I think that you touch upon that in a really lovely way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tyler, hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Going all right. Let's see. You know, I was writing a longer piece, and I had this idea of a monologue that a character is talking about, of something that happened to her in the past, and she's trying to describe a dream. So I'm fascinated by when all you are left with is a memory, and it doesn't add up, but you know, especially if there are no other people involved, you're the only one stuck with this, and memory is not the most it's not perfect. So somebody coming to terms with a memory that's very hazy and most likely a dream, but sort of the real feelings that came out of that. Yeah. So I abandoned the longer project because I realized I was a lot more interested in this like monologue, and then yeah, that's what you see on screen.
Awesome. And I mean, it's so haunting. It's that
Thanks.
when I watch your film, I get that feeling that you get right after you wake up and you're trying to still parse out like what's happened. Like, am I really mad at my best friend, or did this just happen? Did somebody from another life come visit me, or is my brain just broken? And I think that that really comes across so lovely in the way that you approach your subject matter. It's quite lovely. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Thank you.
Hi, Eric. Let's talk about
Hello.
Carcass.
Yeah, for sure. I think with me, one theme that's always really interested me is the concept of all men are created equal or all people are created equal. And for me, that feels so false. And I think that as a result, stories of people who've been marginalized or, you know, pushed aside just from birth, from who they were being born, right, for different aspects, whether it's like physically or their station and, or status, you know, or their intelligence or all those things, it racks me with like, I don't know, with just pain, because I just feel like we all, you know, we don't have everything available to us the way that capitalism likes to tell us. Like, oh, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. It's a myth. And so when I found out about the life of executioners and how it was passed down through family sometimes and other times compelled through as a punishment for crime, and then thinking about this person surrounded by people but so alone, and unable to escape that, and then finally having a glimpse of hope, a chance to press up against that. I loved the chance to tell that story with all of my like fellow collaborators.
Yes, that is so beautifully put. And something that I think about a lot too, like what separates us and how do we think about it. And I think using this lens of examining a story like this through a medieval setting, I think kind of allows us to examine this a little bit more closely and really think about those themes. So thank you so much, Eric.
Of course.
Hi, Sasha.
Hi. I guess I should just maybe say a bit about my life story to explain the genesis of this film. I was born in Moscow, Russia, and I lived there up until I was 13. And then I moved to England with my family, and I lived there for about 8 years. And around 2019, I moved back to Moscow to pursue a master's degree in theater directing. And this happened parallel very much to the political events that we're seeing unfold now, namely the horrifying invasion of Ukraine. And I left Russia 3 days after the invasion began, and it was the same year that I had written the film. But I do think that the film, in a way, it's not just a response to the war, it's also a response really to this way of perceiving life that we have in the modern time, where we live on both a kind of micro level and also we are on a macro level in terms of political events, pandemics, and so on. And I think that this is a recurring theme in my work, where I try to sort of bridge the gap between the personal and the global. And for me, this film, it was almost this kind of juxtaposition at its most extreme, where we see a real unbearable personal tragedy coincide with possibly the most catastrophic thing that can happen. And I suppose the message I wanted to say with this film was not a kind of judgy one, where I'm, you know, saying people are just they can't see beyond their problems and it's some kind of criticism. But no, I think that this is just tragically the way we are. We will never see past our families or our loved ones being hurt, even if there is a nuclear war happening. So I think that this film is definitely a result of its time, of this time that we live in today, but also maybe my impression of living in London and the almost like Babylonian way in which all of these events are reflected there. So I apologize if that was too long, but it's how I see it.
It's beautifully said. And I think that really comes through in your presentation of the film. One thing that I'm always struck by, just as a viewer and a lover of kind of dystopian narratives, is how you always have kind of like a newscaster intertwined with the way that the story is built and the world is built. And I thought that you treated this in a really interesting way, where you kind of flipped the script in the way that you approached it. and it made me really think about what I love about the genre and form, and got me really excited about the filmmaking. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't think you can talk about accessing genre filmmaking without talking about the way that you visually approach making your film. So Sasha, maybe we'll come back to you and go back in that order. But can you talk about your visual approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think the visual look of the film is very much inspired by my impression of London as a city and as a center of the world, a center of finance, a center of culture. I think that the idea that I had was that we see this kind of center of the world, but in its decadent phase. So I tried to pursue very industrial and gray and overcast kind of moods to convey the apocalyptic atmosphere of the movie.
Thank you so much. Eric, how about you? I mean, just wow, the way that you're able to transport us with your work is quite special. Can you speak to that process for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think right off the bat, this was my thesis film at the AFI Conservatory, and I teamed with a really ambitious group. And so I think all of us wanted to kind of push ourselves and see what we could do. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Abby Vance, our production designer, who, you know, we were all out there swinging hammers, but she was there for months on end. And like, we built that whole village in the mountains at Silver Strand Ranch, and you know, all of us pitched in, but it was the idea was to have full 360 and really live in the town. And then like an act of God windstorm took out half of our building. So we had to reorganize our whole shot list, myself and the DP Logan Floyd, and it became like a 2-wall set. And so we'd be swinging hammers and painting and building in between takes even. But I'm glad that didn't feel that way and the world still felt massive, and all the credit to my team.
Yeah, wow. Damn windstorms, quite special. Thank you so much. Tyler, how about you? I mean, your film is so intimate and special, but like if you could also maybe include if there was any like film references that you might have used when you were approaching it.
This was the first time that I'm a visual artist too, and every one of my previous films is heavily storyboarded just because that's like the only way I can position myself in the screen is to just, if I look at it words on the page like a shot list, I can't enter the scene. So I needed to draw this. And so this, before I wrote any of the script, it was actually just a bunch of tiny pictures. And it was important to me that it felt sort of very tactile too. And I was interested in, you know, obviously this is a memory of a time of just sort of like late 80s, early 90s. And I wanted to focus on just sort of like, what are the colors from that era that you don't really see anymore, and to sort of try to tap into something that not just sort of the visual aspect of memory, but also something that you can touch. And I'm trying to think of films that I used as references, but that sort of escapes me right now. But again, the team I worked with, Bart, my cinematographer, Iman, my production designer, they knew exactly what it was that I was trying to go for. And as somebody who doesn't have a film production background, that I also applaud their patience for me just like going up to Bart with just a picture of me like, can we do this? And him being like, yeah, of course. It's like, okay, cool. And then he talks about what sort of lens he's going to use. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Great.
Also, I mean, knowing that you have a visual design background, I think makes this make sense, because I think like your framing is so tight and so direct and specific that that really comes through with your background. Thank you so much. Sylvie, I think we might have talked about this a little bit more, but do you want to elaborate on your visual approach to your film?
Yeah, so as I said, I sent the script to Nick Actually, he had a very big experience in working in commercials, and 3D LED screens was, I mean, he used it quite a lot in commercials. Also, I mean, you know, it's shorter, it's cheaper, and so he immediately told me we have to shoot it like that. And for me, it was like, what is this really? And okay, I had a look at it, and I thought it was great. And like Tyler, I mean, we did a storyboard of everything. And we worked a lot with the storyboard artist who gave us, you know, views of all the different universes. And obviously, then as I studied interior design, it was a good base for me. I went into the details, and with the studio where we shot, obviously they had designers to help me create the worlds, and I gave them really specific pictures of what I wanted. And obviously I had two worlds, so the first world really had to be perfect, because as we see later, it's kind of like her imagination. She can build it like she wants. So it was great fun to you know, design them, and I used the great colors. And I mean, working with this technology, for instance, at one point the scene was too heavy, so I could just move buildings from one place to another. I mean, we shot quite fast, and yeah, it was very easy in a second to move the whole decor and changed it, and changed the light. So we enjoyed it a lot. It was a great experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Duna, I would love to get into your visual approach. I mean, I am still thinking about that like red corridor sequence. It's just so
Mhm.
haunting and special. Can you speak to your approach?
The new Pentecostal church, the long red corridor. Yeah, yeah. When people think about Brazil, especially Rio de Janeiro, they think about a sunny place with beautiful beaches, all that cliche. And I wanted to be just in the very opposite, very bloody opposite side of it. So in my mind, the monster sets place in the near future, after the few years after the pandemic. So Rio de Janeiro, it's not sunny. It's just the opposite. It's always with a little bit of haze, lots of clouds, and it rains, and it rains, and it rains. The very first thing that I thought the very first element from nature, if you will, I thought about water as a claustrophobic element. You know, there's water in each frame of in each and every frame of this movie. It's important to the oppressive elements, and at the very end of the film, with the scream of Dr. N, the freedom at last. Oh, maybe there's an exit possibility. So the rain, the oppression, but always mixed with some poetic, yeah. There's always a poetic element to mix with this oppression, because otherwise I couldn't handle it. It was too heavy, and I just couldn't handle it. So it's always nice to put some fresh air, a breath of some summer fresh air. You know, that's important. The oppression has to have a limit, or to have a limit. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, would we?
Completely. Thank you so much. And Michal, how about you? What was your visual approach? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. That would have been hard to hear what I was trying to say. My background is in screenwriting, and so I definitely relied heavily on my DP, but one of the things we wanted to create is we wanted it to be moody. We wanted to touch on the main themes of isolation and dystopia versus utopia, and the main core of what's being lost in our humanity as the world gets increasingly digital and we become more and more one with our phones and with technology. And so we tried to create a visual tone that would reflect that and those themes at different moments in the film. And the other piece is from the emotional perspective, right? It's like that you don't even know it's a genre film until the very last moment of the film. And so in order to sort of hide that, there was also a groundedness, and we just wanted it to look beautiful. And a lot of that was, you know, location and finding the right place and my beautiful actors, of course. So yeah, that was it. Everything was made to reflect this vulnerable piece of humanity that I think a lot of us can relate to in this modern age where we're all addicted to our phones. And, you know, at what point is technology going to prey on that to a point where, even worse than the ending of my film, we lose our humanity but continue to walk around like walking zombies or like walking computers.
Awesome. Well, it's very clear in the way that you rendered your film, that you kind of have this like lurking sense of dread. It comes across really lovely. So thank you so much. That's all the time we have today with our amazing filmmakers. Thank you all so much for joining us, and being a part of our Ragtag Festival. We're so excited to have this shared with our audiences. So a huge thank you to our audience as well. Keep watching movies. And to you all, please keep creating because we need more of those in our world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.